Young director Šimon Holý this week sees his film And Then There Was Love enter Czech cinemas. It's the second feature film by Holý, who in addition composes music for films and until recently was also a presenter on alternative station Radio Wave. Our tour of his Prague begins on the square Náměstí Míru, one of the centres of the Vinohrady district.
I live half time in Prague, half time in Hudlice, which is the city near to Beroun, but not so far from Prague. And yeah, I cannot imagine moving somewhere else.
Why do you live in Hudlice?
Well, it's a long story of my father wanting to have a farmhouse and then buying another farmhouse and just moving farther and farther from Prague. I actually like this, that I can be in the nature whenever I want and then move into the city whenever I want.
Vinohrady is a big area. I discovered looking at the map earlier, it runs all the way from Folimanka to the main train station out to Hagibor. What's your favourite part of the district?
Well, it was very interesting to me as well to find this out because I didn't know. I'm just now writing the script that takes place in Vinohrady. And I also wondered, what is Vinohrady? Because I thought it's Náměstí Míru, it's Jiřího Spoděbrad. Maybe it's Flora, where I live. But is it all? And then I found out even State Opera is Vinohrady, which doesn't necessarily make any sense to me. I thought this is amazing because the quarter is really huge. So I was just thinking about all the places I like, and to me, I have these places that are connected to some memory, some history. So Náměstí Míru is very much my childhood because I spent a lot of time going to elementary and high school here, and it's I spend most of time here on the afternoon sitting with friends. And then Jiřího Spoděbrad is more of the adult life when you go for a wine or beer and you just talk there with friends. And then also Korunní Street, which is a street where you can buy the best food, have the best coffee, and generally go to good bar. So there's a lot of places that I actually like.
Have you filmed in this neighborhood?
I actually did. With my feature debut, Mirrors in the Dark, we did it in Jiřího Spoděbrad. There are two scenes on the square and behind the chapel, and then behind the church, and then in Café Fra. I shot a scene for the second film, and then there was stuff that will now come into the cinemas in December.
Have you got any sense that Vinohrady has changed much? You're quite young, you're in your late 20s, over the years.
Nevertheless, they did. Even though I'm young, it's scary. It's actually what the script is about. Gentrification really pushed Vinohrady from this residential zone for elderly people to now being this hip quarter for very rich people. And it makes this really odd atmosphere of artists wants to live here, rich people want to live here, elderly people want to live here, but the apartments and everything is getting so much more expensive with every year. So it's this dream that we are losing, in a way.
It's funny, I always thought Vinohrady was already the kind of upmarket area of Prague. Do you resent this gentrification as you see it?
Well, yeah, it doesn't help anything, but what can we do about it? It makes sense. This quarter is really good for living, and if you want to live in hip quarters, it's either Letna or Vinohrady. That's the risk of living here.
But don't you feel like you also benefit from the gentrification? For example, I've lived for many years near Náměstí Jiřího Spoděbrad, and it's much better now with all the cafes and the French bakery and so on.
That's true, but on the other hand, most of the times you cannot afford the coffee there. So, no, I'm joking. Sometimes I do buy coffee there, but yeah, it's better in many ways. But also, I lost some grungy clubs and places I really loved just because of the gentrification, because now the neighbors are living there and there cannot be clubs, there cannot be bars. And that's sad because that's what I loved about the quarter the most. And
is there anything that this district is lacking for you? Is there something you wish were here?
It's very sad that way back in the 60s and 70s there was so many cinemas in the quarter, and now we have basically none. We have only Flora, but that's the big multiplex, but in terms of art cinemas there is none. And yes, we have Café Pilotu in Vršovice, very close, but still on Vinohradská we had 4 cinemas before, and now we have 0, so I lack cinemas here.
Generally speaking, would you regard yourself as a Prague patriot?
Yes. When I was 14 or 15, I always wanted to move. I was like, I'm going to Paris, I'm going to Tel Aviv, I'm going to New York, whatever. And the older I am, the happier I'm here. And I can see myself right now moving out from here. Even though I deal with it every day, I'm thinking maybe I should move somewhere. But, well, the city is great for living.
From Náměstí Míru, it's a very short walk to the next port of call on our trip around Šimon Holý's Prague, the Lauder School on Belgická Street, which is the sole Jewish school in the country.
I was thinking that this is a place no one else would show you. It's a school where I grew up. It's a Jewish school. It's the only Jewish school here in Prague, and it's like this community place for all the Jewish communities around Prague, because there are many communities, many Jewish communities, and there is just one school, so they all have to come into this one place. And my grandpa kind of took me here and told everyone that I have to go here, and so I did for elementary and high school. And it's a very formative place for me, because you spend there 15 years of your life, so it makes sense.
And why your grandpa? Why not your parents? Why was it your grandpa who was bringing you here?
So the father of my grandpa was Jewish, and he died in the concentration camp, and he was still intact with the Jewish community during communism, and my mother wasn't, my father wasn't, and he kind of wanted to still have someone connected to the community, which I'm very grateful, because it really changed my life in so many ways.
And how do you think the education you experienced here, you received here, would compare to at another Czech school, a regular Czech school?
Well, there are Jewish religion classes, so you know more about Torah, you know more about the Bible and the religion, the history, Israel, and also you learn Hebrew, so that's where I learn Hebrew, and that's a lot. that's very different from the usual Czech school.
I presume the classes also are smaller.
Well, in my times it was, because I was one of the first classes to attend the school, so there were like 8 to 10, 12 kids a class. Now it's about 30 from what I've heard. I haven't been to school for 2 years now.
And the school opened, I think, in the late 90s, is that right?
Yes, I think it was like 1997, 1998. And then it transformed, because there was also a different address, and then it moved here to the street next to Náměstí Míru.
Well, there are these security barriers outside here, these kind of bollards. Also, if you enter the school, the security is quite tight. Is that something that feels weird to a child attending the school?
It feels very weird, but also it's the situation of anti-Semitism in the Czech Republic right now. I don't want to say people should be scared, because they shouldn't be, but it's good to take precautions in order to have everyone safe. So yeah, whenever I was a kid and there were policemen standing next to the building, just now there are 2 men standing next to the building, it feels odd, and you realize that there is something different happening, and now it's better, I think, even though the anti-Semitism is now rising thanks to the politicians and because of the people and Kanye West and everyone. In 2000 it was a very different time where it was dangerous, and I remember, like, as kids we were once like even running away from like these Nazi guys, and it was wild times in 2000.
And generally, do you take an interest in Jewish culture, or are you active in the Jewish community in Prague?
I kind of left the community, but right now I'm writing and preparing my feature film called Thinking David, which is exactly about gay guy coming out to the Jewish community. And I'm working with a lot of people from the Jewish community and this school as well. So, and I hope I will cast even some kids from the school. So I'm now getting back to the roots.
A couple of streets away from the Lauder School is the very cosy Café Fra. The young filmmaker, who had works competing 2 years in a row at the Karlovy Vary Festival, has been a regular here for over a decade. Cheers.
Cheers.
And Šimon, what is this thing we're drinking?
So it's called Láska Love, and it's like a radler. You have a beer and raspberry lemonade.
And it's like the signature drink of Café Fra?
I would say so. Like, that's the drink where I had it the first time. And this coffee place is a place I am going to since I was like 15. Every time we ended at school, me and my classmates came here. And it's funny that now I shot one movie here, and I'm actually writing a scene in this place again for another film. And it's a place that really is influential in so many ways for me.
Thank you for bringing me here, because I've known the name for many years, never made it here. I'm surprised how small it is, but it's really very pretty. What kind of a place is this, or who comes to Café Fra?
I think it's students, it's writers, because you have a reading from poetry and literature here, from books. So artists, students, expats, people from arts, and generally very interesting bunch of people.
As for writing, you are obviously a screenwriter as well as a director. Do you like to write in cafes?
I did before, not so much now, because when I was young, I kind of could zone off from all the loudness and just have the atmosphere of people working around me. Now I really like to write in some calm, silent place, so that's why I like to now write in Hudlice, because there is just forests. I know many people who are still writing in coffee places, and I wonder how they do it, because I just couldn't concentrate.
Well, many people seem to use cafes these days as a kind of co-working center. You see that a lot. A lot of people, one person at a table with their little notebook.
Yes, and for me it's a co-working place for meetings, so you can do, I don't know, budget planning or financing planning, meeting with actresses and discussing their roles, but not writing. So actually it's funny, because now I realize that Alena Doláková, the first meeting we had for Mirrors in the Dark was in this place, and that's where I told her I'm planning to do this movie.
A few months ago, you and a couple of other relatively young directors had some kind of manifesto, young Czech directors. What was that all about?
So there are 3 texts that we wrote together with Tereza Vejvodová and Tomáš Vinsky, and these 3 texts are like opening a debate whether the Czech film industry is moving in the right direction and what are the directions we are taking, and we are kind of questioning the genres we are shooting right now, and also we're trying to show a way we can move forward as free, not everyone. We are not pushing anyone to just now change what they're doing, but we feel like we should do something that is more about current topics, more about our inner feelings, emotions, and just generally movies that are more connecting to the Czech audience right now, not 20 years ago.
Getting back, though, to your Prague, what other bars do you tend to go to, or clubs?
So in Vinohrady I go to Bulerbin quite a lot. I like a coffee room and Moment, and also Sandokan if you want to get good Indian vegan food. Also, it's important to mention that Vinohrady are known for being the gay quarter of Prague, so there are many gay places you can go to and party there. So if people want to go party on Friday, they go to Termix, for example. So these are the places I can go to sometimes too.
Of course, recently there was a terrible shooting of the 2 young gay men in Bratislava. How do you feel that has impacted your community?
A lot. I think a lot. And right now we're shooting in a day where there will be a big demonstration in Wenceslav Square, and not demonstration, more like a meeting in support of the community. And I'm taking part also in Prague Pride as a music programmer there, and I see that the team is right now very heavily working on changes and talking to politicians, and there are so many different collectives around Prague that are now trying to make it better for the queer people all around this country. I think there is a topic of mental health issues. There always was this topic, but now it's more present than ever, because people are just now very scared about their lives, because yes, it was Bratislava, it's a different country, but it's very close, and we don't think that different, and the people are not that different, so it could take place in Prague as well. And what if would happen? Well, yeah, it's a very emotional thing for me to talk about, because it's just a very scary idea that this could happen to here, and it happened in Oslo this year during Pride. Like, yeah, queer people are a danger now.